The silent comedy It, released 1927, is an old-fashioned romantic comedy. The rom-com genre was already a threadbare literary genre long before 1927. But this film renews the genre by presenting it through the lens of the hustling, bustling, restless, melting pot New York City created by the financial boom of the 1920s. It is a love letter to the American girl on her own in the big city. This new generation of working women saw life differently than their parents, and this movie took their side. The film demonstrated the old Victorian attitudes were only obstacles to real happiness, especially attitudes about sex. Films from the Victorian point of view depicted good, innocent girls saving themselves for a deserving mate versus bad girl homewreckers who ruin the hapless men pursuing them for lustful and inappropriate friendships. The typical good girl of the screen was Mary Pickford. Chaste, innocent, vulnerable, compliant, unspoiled, until marriage, when she would do her wifely duty. After all, what girl doesn't dream of being a mother? Then there were the bad girls, like Theda Bara. These women of film were called vamps, short for vampire, a sexual predator whose lack of virtue and morality would destroy any man caught in the web of her charms. Clara Bow broke both molds. Clara was never accused of lacking sexual energy. Both in her private life and her screen persona, she was undeniably desirable. One of the reasons for her popularity and box office draw. In particular, popularity with the young women drawing a paycheck. The characters Clara played were like them, somewhere in between saint and vamp. Real life is full of temptations and compromises. Where to draw the line? What's a girl to do? What would Clara do? Like Mary Pickford, Clara's film persona was saving herself. Unlike Mary, Clara flirted and danced with abandon. Mary had to be pursued, wooed, and won. Clara was happy to do her share of the wooing and making romance. Clara's sexuality wasn't a weapon as it was for the screen vamps, but a natural gift that added fun to the romantic interplay of the sexes. It is a romantic comedy, so traditional marriage is the goal, but a marriage of equals. Just the sort of story that millions of modern city girls working day jobs but dreaming bigger would flock to see. And they did. Everyone else did too. In the film It, the uncontested It girl, Clara Bow, plays Betty Lou, a common salesgirl among many in a huge department store. Betty Lou falls in love with the store's rich, handsome top boss and sets out to get him to fall in love with her. The boss man is already pre-engaged to a beautiful, wealthy debutante. Falling in love with Betty Lou would be very inconvenient. But the falling in love is inevitable. You see, he has it. She has it. They are drawn together through animal magnetism and lots of other euphemisms for strong sexual attraction. The plot of It goes like this. Betty Lou sees boss, Cyrus Waltham, and develops an immediate crush. But he already has a fiancée of wealth and social stature. He could never love a wage slave like Betty Lou. Or could he? Of course he could, you silly goose, because Betty Lou has it. The boss's sidekick, Monty, sees what a haughty Betty Lou is. Of course he asks her out. Betty Lou uses this date with Monty in order to get an accidental on-purpose introduction to the boss. Boss meets girl. She has it. He has it. Mutual horniness ensues. Betty Lou will not be forgotten. They go to a date to Coney Island. Cyrus in Betty Lou's world, carefree and fun. He gets a little fresh when he drops her off, and Betty Lou gives him what for. It makes him like her more. Monty sees Betty Lou with a sick friend's baby and mistakenly believes Betty Lou to be a single mother. The shame, the scandal. Monty tells Cyrus about the scandal he discovered. Obviously, that girl must be a bad girl. Not married and she has a baby? He believes Betty Lou is damaged goods, so obviously Cyrus is too classy to marry her. But he can be her sugar daddy. Betty Lou says no way, she ain't that kind of girl. Betty Lou decides to get even with Cyrus by getting him to propose so she can say no. Monty takes Betty Lou yachting with Cyrus and fiancé. Betty Lou impersonates a socialite and implements her plan for revenge. Cyrus can't resist. Betty Lou rejects him. After more obstacles and plot complications, true love wins and all is forgiven. As plots go, they can't get much more basic than girl meets boy, boy woos girl, then rejects her, girl messes with boy's mind until he surrenders, and against all odds, true love wins. But it's all in the presentation, and it still entertains. The story remains fun to watch, enough of the comedy still lands, the sets look great, and the pace never slows. The direction is always good, and sometimes it is inspired. Clarence Badger is credited as director. He was a journeyman studio director who had already directed over 50 films going back to 1914. The uncredited director was Joseph von Sternberg, most likely the reason the film plays like a European farce. Whichever accomplished director contributed which elements, the collaboration resulted in a masterpiece. The sets reinforce the themes. The world of the film dwarves the people in it. The city and the department store evoke machines, served by the hands of little people. The upper class still feels superior, unaware that times have changed. This supposed better class is judgmental and exclusive, clinging to the past, while the common folk like Betty Lou are democratic and inclusive and the future belongs to them. The studio made sure the supporting cast was of the highest quality. Antonio Moreno, the object of Clara's affection as Cyrus T. Waltham, was the Latin lover you hired when you couldn't get Valentino. Jacqueline Gadsden was the other woman in the love triangle, heiress Adela Van Norman. Gadsden was an ingenue, but not a rookie. She already had appeared in 15 films before It. The comic relief character, Waltham's sidekick Monty, is played by William Austin, a character actor known for his portrayal of upper-crust Englishmen in both dramas and comedies. He was already a veteran of 24 films when he began shooting It. Austin would go on to become the first actor to portray Batman's butler, Alfred, on film. The supporting cast was top-notch, and it needed to be, because the star was already a legend and still growing in popularity. This star was the one and only Clara Bow. Already the brightest star in Hollywood in 1927, Clara remains a singular talent in silent film, with a screen presence and persona that broke the mold created by other actresses of her time. Clara's unique charm and undeniable it carries the film to greatness and has done so for 100 years. The comedy is still funny. The melodrama is well paced, the characters grow and develop, and the backdrop is an emerging world of factories and immigrants creating a personal American dream for themselves and their families. The film It would come to define Clara Bow's legacy, despite her already legendary career. It made Clara one of the top 5 box office draws in Hollywood until the talkies turned Tinseltown upside down. As one newspaper ad for It at the time so accurately put it, "Flippant flapper, trim and dapper, naughty naughty chic man trapper. Has she got it? Well, I guess. Clara, Clara, yes, yes, yes."